All right, what is going on? How is everybody doing today? Happy Thursday morning. Welcome to the Risen Fallen podcast. I am your host, Mark Hendrickson, and if you're brand new to this show, then what you can expect is open and authentic conversations about things like mental health and self-development and how to get your life moving in the right direction. If you're not feeling good about where you are right now, at least having the confidence knowing that you are, getting at least 1% closer every single day to the person that you'd like to be, where you'd like to wake up, who you'd like to wake up as. You get the you get the gist of it. And so happy Thursday morning. If you are listening to this when it first drops, and if you're not, then happy whenever it is for you. I'm going to take a little sip of coffee here, and if you are, maybe you got like a water bottle or a sip of coffee or something in front of you, let's all take a little sip together. Let's get it. All right, so how is everybody doing today? We are getting through this week. We had a good day today, but that commercial when they talk about you're not you when you're hungry, and it's like that chocolate bar commercial. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Snickers or maybe I can't remember what it was. It was Snickers? It was Snickers, apparently. Teddy's yelling at me from the couch, but yeah, you're not you when you're hungry. And the thing is so true. Think about how many times, I can think off the top of my head, how many times I've fucking, kind of not been myself, or kind of been a little bit impatient, a little bit irritable, a little bit, just kind of a dick, to say the least, if I get hungry. Even when I'm kind of being a little bit rude, or kind of with Teddy, she's like, you need to eat because kind of you're getting hangry. And it's kind of embarrassing even, but why was I even thinking about that? Oh, the reason I was thinking about it, the thing is about, with hunger, is hunger is such an immediate feeling. It's so obvious even to ourselves. It's oh shit, I'm actually just starving. I'm actually hungry. Cause you get sometimes even lightheaded, but usually even just the early warning signs of yeah, my stomach hurts. I'm getting the hunger pangs. Most people know their body well enough to at least know what the signs of hunger start to feel like in the early stages. And even though it's such a, immediately uncomfortable, kind of like a red flag or warning sign from your body, we can still either not listen to it or not have the time to be able to take care of it. And we neglect it enough that we, start to treat people differently, or we start to act like somebody other than ourselves. And I think that that's interesting to think about because, even with something that's so immediately, something identifiable, something that's so immediately identifiable as hunger pains is not enough for us to, notice and then act upon. Half the time we still have to deal with hangry people so often. And yet when we are drained, when we have our cup emptied, so to speak, when we're struggling with our, mental health, or just going through a tough time in life, it's so difficult for us to identify that, and then we wonder so often why we're feeling so lethargic, low energy, low kind of maybe we have mood swings, maybe we're not acting like ourselves, maybe, more irritable, more difficulty concentrating, or, just wanting to kind of withdraw socially, or, you know what I mean? We all kind of know the difference between when we can go out and interact really well with everybody around us, and have patience and have grace, and kind of just learn to love people even though they're different than you. And then we also know the feeling of when we just go out and no matter what, even somebody we love says something that just kind of irks you, or kind of it doesn't sound right to you, and you just kind of feel no, I've got to correct this. I got to, where you get a little bit more irritable, a little bit less patient. And just kind of the energy levels of just sometimes it's just unpredictable of or yeah, like I said, attention span is another thing, or just kind of seeking dopamine, when we have something missing almost, or something kind of we're neglecting something, and we're causing ourselves to have a lower level in regards if you were to put a score on your own mental health. And I guess that's kind of almost what I was going to say today is like I just wanted to think about how we could start to identify, because I feel like sometimes the warning signs and the alarms that our bodies send to us sometimes can be disguised as other things, and so we might misinterpret them. Of like, maybe sometimes it is something as simple as just like you need to get your sleep routine back in order, or whatever it could be, something that's impacting your mental health, and it's just kind of like a compounded like thing of like, yeah, I haven't slept well in like 6 or 7 nights, whatever it could be, and because of that, it could just be something simple like that. But I just wanted to think about today, and I guess prompt you guys to think about this. Maybe you felt like this before, or maybe you kind of know somebody that feels like this, and you just kind of haven't had you didn't want to have the conversation with them. You can just share this with them, and hey, if somebody shared this with you, then nobody's pointing any fingers or anything like that. But maybe they sent it to you to send to somebody else, and you just need to listen to it in the meantime. And I was just thinking about, we could how we could identify if we are starting to struggle with our mental health, and how we could think about, when you need to make adjustments in your life. How to identify when you need to make adjustments in your life, I guess, is a better way to kind of put together this idea. And I think there's multiple ways to go about it. If you were to ask yourself, if you have good self-awareness, and you were to ask yourself, like in the last like 10 days, in the last month, if I were to rate my day, just each individual day, if you were to, sit down and rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you feel each day went? If I were to ask you today how yesterday went, or the day before, or how today's going, how you genuinely feel right now. If you were to ask yourself, how do I genuinely feel right now? Do you feel run down and tired? Is it kind of just like you're like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling like kind of low energy and tired, and I don't really feel like doing much, and I just kind of feel, a little bit like maybe just today's not my day. And did you feel like that yesterday? Did you feel like that the day before? Like, how many days do you think that you felt like that? Or maybe just start writing down right now. Maybe if you were to think about how you started your day today, how you felt, how you actually genuinely felt. Did you feel relaxed? Did you feel like kind of accomplished? Did you feel at ease? Did you feel like you were going to crush today? Or did you feel like, fuck, I got to fucking do all of this stuff today, and just kind of, maybe you woke up late and you just had to rush in the morning. You had to do all these, do you feel a little bit like you wanted to not leave bed? Now, how often do you feel like that? Like, even if you just start tracking it today and then you just move forward for the next 10 days, that's one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is like, when was the last time you drove anywhere? I don't know if you live in like a city like Vancouver, like where I live, but it's pretty difficult to drive without getting in traffic at some point. Like, think about if you could drive through traffic without thinking like, oh, fuck this guy. Like, what the fuck? Hey, what's this person doing? Like, man. And like thinking about like swearing. I don't know if I can always tell when my cup's starting to fucking run dry when I'm like swearing at people in traffic that can't hear me, and I'm just like, that's always like an indicator of like, all right, you need to take care of something, that you need to, and it even happened, today. Like, it's like, okay, I probably need to take a look into that, because like, just kind of like, you understand that driving, you're gonna come across idiots anyways. So if you're reacting that way, it's kind of like a reflection internally of like how, sometimes we feel inside. And so that's another way to think about your social interactions, how you interact with everybody in the real world on a regular basis. And you might think a lot of these things, you might think are one-offs. It might be like one of those things where it's like, oh, well, that just happened because this guy did that, or that guy, that just happened, but the way that you think about people and the way you treat people is like kind of like like I said, it's a really good reflection of like what's going on internally as well. And so I think that a lot of the times what we can think about is like kind of like, like I said, how you feel in the beginning of your day. Like, kind of just think about like, how do you actually genuinely feel? And how often do you feel that way? And do you want to continue to feel like that? Or would you like to make a change? Like, would you like to actually feel different? Or like, has it been months that you've kind of not felt motivated, or, just kind of like a genuine excitement for life, like just kind of like a genuine like waking up thinking like today is actually going to be a fucking sweet day. Like do you think like your days are actually fun? Do you enjoy your life? If not, like fuck, I'm not trying to like isolate anybody or make you feel like something's wrong. It's just that I want to genuinely see, like, if you definitely don't, feel good, then think about, like, would you like that to change? Is there something that you can, like, actually change in your life to alter that? And a lot of people, like, they're going to start off by saying, oh, well, and I'm not saying that this is anybody listening to this, because I'm sure if you're listening to this far, then you're not in this boat. But there's a lot of people that'll be sitting there thinking, like, well, there's nothing I can do to actually change my situation. Like, you're not going to understand. Like, my situation is so unique. Like, there's nothing that I can actually do to alter this or improve this or make this better at all. And, if somebody feels like that, sorry, I'm just scratching my eye. If somebody feels like that, like, there's not really much that like, if you kind of believe that, then there's not much you can really do to improve, because if you don't even think that you can improve, it's going to be pretty difficult to, unless you're the type of person that continuously can push themselves through something that they don't feel like they're getting better in or feel like doing. If you're like the most disciplined person ever, then maybe that could work. But I feel like just in general, you have to kind of believe that improvement is possible and that there's something that you can do to control it for it to even be possible, for it to even manifest, or whatever, like a crazy word you like to use. But you got to kind of have that positive, already, you kind of almost have to, I hate that, like, fake it till you make it, because that's not even like a real thing. It has to be genuine. It has to be like, fuck, I can't even believe that I have this opportunity to improve this. Like, I can do this. Like, this is, but just to be able to think about it in that mind frame, because I think that so many times, like, there's times where we can fall into these kind of like traps where we start to run on empty, and we start to, whether that be emotionally or like our energy, our physical energy levels, or like what you're, how you feel and how you interact with people on a regular basis. And we can fall into these like patterns and start to take them on as if there's some sort of like part of our identity, and whether we do that subconsciously or not, but it can change who we are. It can change how, our relationships and how we interact with our friends and our family members and our loved ones, our partners. And I think that it's something that's happened to me in the past, and it's something that, you need to be aware of, when you're starting to run on empty, and what you can do to change that and maintain some sort of improvement, like at least some sort of like to get you out of that endless cycle, because it can be. And I think that obviously, like I said, even just being aware of it is like the first step. Like, that's the first thing that you can't even make any improvements really without being aware of the fact that you're like, fuck, I'm running on empty right now, like pretty much running on fumes. And just to be able to be self-aware enough to know that is like, half the time it's got like, I've got to really fuck something up in my life where somebody is like, yo, what the heck? Like, until I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I need to improve something. Maybe I need to, excuse me. For me, half the time it's like, just get a little bit more like active. Like, half the time, if I'm not active and I'm not eating well, then I just become like a worse version of myself. I'm less patient. I'm less, and I'm not even sure 100% why, but I just know that when I'm not exercising as much, when I'm not eating properly, when I'm eating shit that I shouldn't be eating, and I'm not eating things that I should be eating, then I just feel like I'm a shittier version of myself. I treat people worse. I treat myself worse. I feel worse. My joints, like physically, I feel worse. And then mentally as well, I feel worse. And it just kind of makes me like this weird, anxious, desperate version of myself that I don't really like. And I don't think the people around me like either. And I think that that is a perfect example of what drives it home is like if you feel like you're having like the same problem with multiple people, you're probably part of the problem. Like if you're kind of like arguing with a lot of people in your life, whether that's like in social media or in real life, hopefully, because if you're spending a lot of time arguing on social media, then it's kind of a fucking no-brainer why you're mentally fucked, to say the least. But just to be aware of those things. And then think about some of the things, like I said, that you can do to improve your situation. Like, first off, think about like all the necessities that we have of human beings. Like, or like there's that like cartoon where like the I think it's like a me or a video, or I think I saw a clip or a reel of it, or I don't know which word I'm supposed to use, but of that girl who's like, the woman's like, oh, I'm not feeling good today. And then the guy's like, well, did you exercise? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, did you eat healthy? And then she's like, no. And he's like, did you fucking do this? Did you do that? Like, he kind of goes through like all the essentials. And you kind of have to ask yourself, like, did I exercise today? Did I sleep 8 hours? Like something in that window of, did I speak to somebody that I love today? Did I eat well? Did I wake up in a clean space? If I didn't, like, did I clean the space that I live in? Like, think about all the essentials. Did I take a shower today? Did I fucking, put on a decent outfit and go for a walk and smile at a stranger, pet a dog, or touch a tree, or do, did you stretch? Did you drink some water? Like, have you had any water today? Like, think about these like essentials that you need to have in life. And then think about like how you're feeling on a regular basis. Like, are you missing something in your life? And if you're not feeling good, then that's probably where you should start. And so that's even assuming that you understand the essentials. And I've kind of talked about that before. And maybe that's something I should talk about in the near future. And maybe that's going to be what's one of the next episodes are. But I think that's a pretty good place to wrap this up, because I just kind of wanted to even just talk about just the idea or thought process of being aware of when you need to start to make these adjustments in your life, being aware of, when you need to, being aware, like identifying when you need to change something. And I think that that's the same thing I said earlier, but in a different flavor of words. And so on that note, I will let you guys go. Happy Thursday. Enjoy your weekend. I hope you guys had a good week as well. And I will catch you guys on Monday. So much love. Peace out. Love you all, you beautiful human beings. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on a podcast platform, which I guess is the only way you guys can consume this, please like, comment, subscribe, rate it 5 stars, leave a little review, share it with a friend, and do everything you can to help boost me in the algorithm and get this message out to people that need to hear it. Much love. Peace out. See you on Monday. Love you all. Bye.